Hi guys, welcome back to the On Sunday podcast. My name's Chris and I'm here with my beautiful co-host who's not only washed her hair for the pod today, she has had a haircut and had far too much chopped off it. Rebecca.
According to Chris, this is short, guys. This is short, apparently. If for anybody who's not watching and just listening, it is nipple level.
Do not refer to your nipples in the podcast. Honey, I don't want people perving all over you. They're mine. You belong to me. Oh, welcome back to the show, guys. In this week's episode, we're going to be talking about setting up your salon and how to save money doing so. Also, when you run your salon, how to...
What's just general money saving tips?
Okay, Martin Lewis.
Yeah.
General money saving tips. But we'll get to that in a little bit. Honey, other than looking pretty and getting your hair all cut, what have you been up to?
I finished brows. You're meant to do the clap, clap, clap. Woo!
1 second. Do that bit again.
You really messed it now.
It's because I faded this out. Do that bit again. What'd you do?
Finished doing eyebrows.
Finished doing eyebrows.
I feel like I've not really come to terms with it. Like, I've not had time to think about the fact that I never have to go back and deal with that hell ever again. I can just be here always. I'm so excited.
If people are new to the show or they don't understand what the heck you're on about, why are you stopping doing eyebrows, honey?
So microblading, I've been doing it for 11 years and it's a lot. Why am I stopping? Because, number one, I don't enjoy it anymore. And everyone goes, oh, but the money's really great. Yeah, but money doesn't matter to me like that. It's just, no. It's not worth it because I don't enjoy doing it. So, yep. And secondly, nail order takes up all of my time. And whilst we had got the brows down to 1 month a week, when I was...
No, try that again. Not 1 month a week.
1 week a month.
One weekend a month.
No, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, it was meant to be 9 to 7.
Weekend.
Right? On the Thursday and the Friday particularly, it was incredibly stressful because the warehouse is still open, suppliers are still open, I was getting emails, messages, blah, 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 blah. It was absolute hell on earth. Chris doesn't understand how exhausting it is, doing up to 17 clients per day, because he's never had to do anything like that. And he's like, oh, what's the problem? Just do more. No, I am done.
Honey,
so it's all on you now.
Honey, when was the last time I said you should be doing brows?
Probably not that long.
2022.
No, not that. You shouldn't be telling me what to do.
I don't mean telling you. What I mean is, don't give it up is what I'm saying.
I pass the baton of responsibility for feeding our family onto you now.
And honey, what am I doing today? Spending money like it's going out of water. Well, trying to spend money.
Going out of water? Going out of fashion?
Sure, whatever.
Why? What are you trying to buy?
I'm trying to buy a van. You guys probably heard that Rebecca had said that I could get a van. It's actually working out tax beneficial for us to buy a van. I was going to need to buy one anyway. It's coming to the end of our financial year. However, the company that I want to buy it from won't sell me a van.
Well, they will. You just need to go and to get it. They won't deliver you a van.
Now, how many cars have we bought over...
They just get delivered?
The last van we got, it just got delivered.
The last 3-4 vehicles just
the
get
Tesla
delivered.
we went to get on Boxing Day. Why do we always buy cars or vans at Christmas?
We do it this time of year. We do. It's
always. The van we bought,
yeah.
I bought at 7 p.m. on the 31st of January, a couple of years ago.
The Tesla was
Boxing Day.
Boxing Day, yeah. Always.
Which is wild.
Always this time of year.
You know why?
Why?
And this segues great into this week's podcast because it's the cheapest time to buy a car. Dealers have to get rid of their stock at the end of the year because they have targets and stuff to meet. So they want rid of it. Do you remember when we bought Dixie? Mm-hmm. We got such a good deal on that as well.
We did.
And we bought that in December.
That was true. I don't think over the last, say, 7 years, I don't think we've bought a car outside of the period of December through February.
The Volvo as well.
Yeah, that's why I'm saying it. I think it's all been
January.
December through
we
February.
We got the I-Pace. Uh-huh. God, that really is.
I know.
We are winter puppies. There you go.
You love a winter car.
Yeah. So I would normally segue straight into the podcast. However, honey, do you remember when we first started the podcast, I was doing that whole thing I'll blow your mind. And these people, these friends who are listening and watching at home, they can tell their clients this amazing fact.
I had one recently, but I can't remember what it is.
Wait for this one.
Okay, go.
Now, this one is perfect for you. This morning, 8 a.m, what happened? Your alarm went off. It made an obnoxious noise, woke the whole street up because, well, let's be honest, to get Rebecca up, you need to have that. And you hit snooze.
No, I don't hit snooze. I just hit stop.
Okay, sometimes you hit snooze.
I never hit snooze.
And when you do hit snooze, how long does it snooze for?
10 minutes.
No, it doesn't.
I think it does.
No, it snoozes for 9 minutes.
9 minutes.
Do you ever think to yourself, oh, God, I'd like to change that to 10 minutes? And why don't they just make it 10 minutes?
Go on.
Why do you think that is?
Let me guess. It's like the optimal amount of time, or it's the amount of time it takes to get into or not get into REM sleep, something like that.
That would make sense, but it's not.
Okay.
In the olden days, when they had analog clocks, the only way they could get the snooze to work was on single digits.
Okay, that makes sense.
So they just took it up to the last single digit. They could have made it 10 if they could do double digits, but they just made it single digits. Or they had to make it single digits, so they just made it 9. So that's why your alarm clock, and you're probably thinking to yourself, but I've set my alarm on my phone. So why doesn't Apple, whose slogan is think different, not just make it 10 minutes? They just could be bothered. So that's why it's 9 minutes.
Wow, mind blown.
There you go.
Wow, look at that for a
There you go.
fact.
So do you have anything to add to my facts?
I had a really good one and I can't.
Fun fact Friday, even though it's a Sunday.
No, I've only got that 1% question in my head, which nobody will get, so.
You try to say our audience is stupid?
No, I'm saying it's just, it's a riddle.
There's a riddle inside an enigma. Mm-hmm. All right, let's go on to today's show. So, honey, how are we going to save money being a salon owner or a nail tech?
There is lots of ways, and again, we are not financial advisors. These are just things that we implemented or have subsequently thought of since being salon owners.
Yeah.
So let's look at if you're setting up. We're going to take you through the whole journey of being a salon owner. So starting up.
Starting up, I would suggest that you're going to do one or two things. You're either going to rent premises or you're going to rent a nail desk.
Yeah.
Would that be right?
I would say so.
What's the most cost-efficient way to do so?
What do you mean cost efficient?
Well, let's go for you are renting a desk. Mm-hmm. What's the most cost-efficient way to do it?
I don't know.
Oh, honey, think of Karina. Karina. She rents a nail desk for...
Right, okay, I see what you're saying. If you are renting on a daily basis, is that what you mean?
That's what I mean.
That's what you mean, okay.
Can you rent on a weekly basis?
Of course, or a monthly basis, yeah.
So not just a rent, just property?
They're all just rents, no. No, what Chris is alluding to is if you're renting on a daily basis, you want to maximise the amount of hours that you're there. So Karina, who works for us at Nail Order, she's also a working nail tech, she rents by the day. So when she is in to maximise. She'll do like 12-hour days back
14,
to back.
16.
Yeah, just to maximise the amount of clients that she can get out of her daily rent.
The way I worked it out is, imagine you do an 8-hour day and you spread that over 5 days. What you could do is just split that into 3 days and do your 14-hour days.
Yeah, exactly.
I know it's a lot.
I mean, 8 times 2 is 16, but yeah, sure.
Okay, 16, whatever. I know it's a lot, but realistically, also things like travel as well, being able to commute into work and stuff, if you're doing it a lot less.
Well, it's all about the condensed working week, isn't it? That's what everyone's going for, this 4-day working week. Nobody works 5 days anymore.
You're right, we work 7. How does that work out?
Well, I don't know. It just is what it is. But also the thing with renting, especially if you are renting a full premises, I would always recommend asking for a rent-free period.
We were very lucky in one of the first premises that we took. The landlord was quite open and he says, if it's something you want to go for today, we'll give you your first 3 months for free.
Yeah.
Now, if you're setting up a salon, spending thousands of pounds on decoration, on nail desks and on equipment and supplies, 3 months is a great way to get your feet stuck into it.
It is. And it's something that we probably wouldn't have thought about, but going into our first commercial lease, like I don't think we would have thought about it. But then since then, every time we've gone for another commercial lease, we've had like 4 since then. We're like, or 5 since then. What can we ask for? So since then, it very much depends on your landlord as well. If your landlord is just like an individual guy or woman who, that's the only property they have, they're not going to be able to do so much for you because they're not going to have so much money. But if your landlord is like a wealthy investor and they've got a whole portfolio of products, they're far more likely to be able to throw in incentives. So incentives that we have asked for / got, rent-free period, we get that every single time.
Yeah.
We'll get a rent-free period. A couple of times we have asked for floors.
So just go back to the rent-free period. You could either do something like 3 months free, 2 months free, something like that.
Or 6 months half price.
Or 6 months half price is a good one as well.
I think we've done both. I think we've even done one where it was like 3 months free, 6 months half price, like something like that. Yeah. a free floor.
So if you go into the property and it's needing some
some stuff done. Like you're going to be doing things anyway. Did we ever get painting done? Don't think so, no. But something like a floor, which is going to, stay for a long time, the landlord will get benefit out of themselves. They're not going to get a benefit out of you changing the colour of the walls. You can ask for a free floor, for sure. Some new flooring. That
was nice vinyl flooring we got.
Contract vinyl, so it's expensive, but should last, decades. Something else we got was a boiler.
A boiler.
Mm-hmm.
How did you get that?
I cannot even remember.
It was the landlord's wife.
Oh, was it?
Yeah, they were talking. So the property we took, it was 130 years old or something. It was an older property. Yeah. It did have a boiler in it, but it was a very old boiler.
It was the oldest boiler. I reckon that I would say the boiler was older than me. And I don't think that was exaggerating. Like it was
a combi boiler, so probably not.
No, it was. I've never seen a boiler that looks like that. Never seen one like that.
Anyway, so I remember Rebecca saying, like, that's probably going to need changed. And he said, it's probably not something we can do. Apparently he was talking to his wife about it and she was like, oh, come on, you're going to leave those girls freezing up there? And he was guilted into it. He actually got a really good one.
It was a good one. So that was great as well.
Yeah.
So these are all things that you can ask for. Something else I would highly recommend, this isn't so much money saving, but I guess it kind of is in the long term, is if you're signing a commercial lease, again, this doesn't affect you if you're renting a space, but if you're signing a commercial lease, something I would really recommend is a break, asking for a break. I mean, we've not yet found a landlord that won't agree to it. Everybody does. Most typically, a lease is going to be about 5 years. It's really great if you can get in there the option to break. So typically an option to break will be after like 3 years.
Yeah.
So what that means is that whilst your lease is 5 years, after the 3-year period, you are allowed to break it with the appropriate notice.
Appropriate notice is normally 3 months, but I think some have it as mutual consent.
Yeah.
So, for instance, it may benefit the landlord because the property prices may have gone up, rents may have gone up.
The ways that ours is, the landlord can't kick us out after 3 years, but we can vacate after 3 years. And one other thing I thought of there, what was it? Yeah, one other thing is if you are a new business and the premises that you're going into is relatively expensive, this is something we've done with one property before. So you're a bit concerned about the price of it, something that you can try and negotiate. Maybe you can't get a rent-free period, but what you can maybe get is a stepped rent.
Yes.
So for your first year, it's lower whilst you are establishing a business. And then the next year it goes up a little bit more, and the next year it goes up a little bit more, so on and so forth.
Could be small increments, maybe like £1,000 a year, a couple of £1,000 per year.
I'm trying to think about that other property, how much that started at and how much it went to.
It started at 12 and went up to 15.
12 and up to 15. So the second year it just goes up a bit more, and then by the third year on the full amount. So that's something else that you can absolutely ask for. But don't ever be scared to ask, because it's very typical to be getting these rent-free periods and discounts. We've just gone through all of the ones that we ourselves have experienced. And we've experienced something with every commercial property that we've ever rented.
One thing to take into consideration, I always forget about it, is the type of lease you get. For most commercial leases, you get an RFI lease. FRI lease.
Full repairing and insuring lease, which means that you are going to be charged for the building's insurance, but you don't have a choice of what that is. So the landlord's just going to whack that on top. So that's something else to bear in mind. Also, especially if you're dealing with an investor who has a portfolio of properties, there is more often than not going to be like a service charge or an administration charge a month. Depends on the property, somewhere about £50 to £100. Let's say probably towards 50, and for what a salon would be, I'd imagine. Yeah.
So that's just things to consider and always ask these questions. In terms of the FRI lease, one thing that was made clear to us by our landlord when we first took it is that above us was 4 apartments. Mm-hmm. And he said that if, for instance, the roof was to go on this building, it's us, because it's a fully insured lease, that are responsible for that roof. I
don't think it would be us that's fully. It would be divided between all of the other properties.
I think it was
essentially with an FRI lease, you are responsible for full repairing and insuring, so keeping the property in a good standing.
Yeah.
That's something to bear in mind as well when you're taking something on.
All right, so you've got the keys and you've got your shiny new property, you've been in, you've painted it, you've decorated it, it's beautiful, it's opening day. What are some of the essentials that you have to have in place for opening day? Some
things you're going to have to start thinking about are your utilities. This can be a bit of a nightmare when it comes to sound. We have fallen foul of water before.
Yes.
You got to think about these things. So as a business, again, if you are just renting a space, not something to be necessarily concerned about, but if you are renting a salon, you're thinking about opening your own salon, things that you need to be aware of are you don't just put the bins out for free like you do at your house and someone comes and collects it. Even if you pay business rates, you still need to pay for collection of your waste. It's a completely separate thing. So you can use the council or you can use a private company such as Biffa, etc.
Do not use Biffa.
Okay.
I'm angry with Biffa just now.
Anti-Biffa.
Anti-Biffa. And I've got 4 months left in the contract we've got for the warehouse, and then I'm switching over. One I would recommend is Enva, but I'm still angry with them because they promised me lots of things and just never delivered. But they're cheap as hell.
And who are you with now?
It's a local supplier.
Exactly.
It's a local supplier. Yeah, local council. And just one thing I just want to touch on that I've forgotten about, that you said and I forgot about. We are based in Scotland, so a lot of the stuff that Rebecca's about to say, especially with water, is everything's included with our council tax.
Without residential council tax, it's all included. So as a resident in Scotland, you don't pay water and stuff separately or bins or whatever.
So check with your local council.
So you'll need to pay for your waste management, whoever that is going to be with. It's usually not very expensive, so you'll need to get that set up. You can't really save any money with that. It is what it is. You can save money in terms of the frequency in which they're collected. That's something that you might want to look at. So depending on the size of your business, you will be able to choose the size of bin that you have, and you'll be able to choose how frequently it's collected. So I would say always low, because you can always, it's easier to increase it than it is to decrease it.
Yeah. And things like recycling is a lot cheaper than general waste.
Yeah. Okay, so now you've got your water. Now water is, I cannot remember how we got stung with water. I know why. We were on a...
Emergency.
Well, number one, always make sure you are off the emergency codes when it comes to electricity and water.
On day one, when you get the keys, and the first thing I need you guys to do is go in and take a water meter reading. There will be one within your property. If there's not, you have to contact the local water company and ask them to go out and get one installed ASAP.
Yeah, because you don't want to be on a flat rate, because that is ridiculous. So a flat rate will charge you, it's probably like a certain amount per square foot or whatever it is of your premises. But especially if you are in, not a hair salon, but just a beauty salon, where the only time that you're using water, or a nail salon, the only time you're using water generally is to flush the toilet and to wash your hands.
Yeah.
Then you're really not using very much water. So you don't want to be charged the standing rate, because the standing rate will be a lot higher than the per unit rate. And that really was something that got us in trouble way back when.
Yeah. So water is something to consider. I would do the same for gas and electricity. If you have both of them, take a meter reading on day one. And on day one, you want to contact these utilities and get them set up as quickly as possible, because it's like everything. If you don't do that and you leave it, say, for 4 weeks, they'll just take the last meter reading they have. And that could have been 2 years ago if the property's been vacant, you know? If
you are listening and you're renting a space, you don't have a premises, or you're working from home, do not worry, we have money saving tips for you coming as well, just as a PSA. Just quickly going back though, in terms of choosing a property to rent, something that you really want to be cautious of is rates.
Yes.
You do not want to be paying for rates.
So what's business rates?
It's essentially council tax for businesses, except you get nothing for it. You don't get your water included and you don't get your bins collected. You just get nothing. It's just a local authority tax.
Yeah.
But here in Scotland, I don't know about England, here in Scotland, if the premises is rateable value, is under a certain amount, you can be eligible for 100% rates relief. I think it's £15,000 a year.
18 now.
18. So if it's under that, and you can go to the saa.gov.uk website, which is the Scottish Assessors website. Yeah. If you're in Scotland, I'm sure England will have its own variety of that. And you can see what the rateable value of any property is. So you want it to be under that, especially if you are even to a medium-sized salon. Even to a large-sized salon, I can't see, it wouldn't be beneficial for you to be in a property where you had to pay rates.
For example, before we took the warehouse that we're in just now, Rebecca and I looked at another warehouse. It was slightly more expensive. It was like £21,000 a year, but it had business rates attached to it, and that was going to be another £8,000 or £9,000.
Yeah. So it can really bump things up.
It really can. That's like it's like a half, like 50% extra, you know. So that's something to take into consideration.
Definitely something to take into consideration. But going back to utilities, it's just like general. If you're shop around like you would for your house, and don't tie yourself into too long a contract, because obviously things fluctuate and change quite a lot. So
1 and 2 year contracts are usually kind of normal when it comes to business ones. But I will implore you, if you do a comparison on the comparison sites when it comes to businesses, do not put your telephone number in, your mobile number.
Never. Don't do it.
I'll tell you why.
They won't stop.
Because the rules are different. When you put your mobile number into a comparison site for a business comparison,
oh my God,
it's a free-for-all. They just sell your number to everyone.
I cannot tell you harassment that we received in terms of the number of calls, especially the first few months, it doesn't stop. It just doesn't stop, and it carries on and carries on and carries on and carries on.
Yeah.
So yeah, don't do that. That's for sure. So moving on.
So the heating's on, the lights are on. It's day one.
We're going to need some customers, so we're going to need a booking system.
I'm
not even going to contemplate the paper and pen, because that is going to cost you money in itself, because you're missing out on opportunities. So let's look at booking systems. So booking systems can vary massively in terms of cost. You have ones that are just an amount per month. You have ones that are an amount per month and a percentage per client. You have ones that just percentage per clients. I can't really attest to the ones that are percentage per clients, but I can attest to having spoken to people who use them, and to me, it seems like a massive rip-off. Now, I understand that with some of these ones that are sort of a...
pay as you go.
What would you call it? So they're listed on a central website where people can just go in and...
like Treat Well and stuff like that.
Yeah. I mean,
it's an aggregator, essentially.
Yeah. And I understand that they can bring in new customers. I get that. But I think there is better and cheaper ways to bring in new customers.
Definitely.
Than that, which we obviously talked about previously. So my personal recommendation would be go on to one that does not charge you per client.
Just a standard monthly rate.
It's just a standard monthly rate. We loved Avatu in our salon. We used a few different ones. That is the one that we ended up on lastly. That's one I was still using I've still got my thing up and running, which I need to cancel for my brows. And it very much, the price depends on how many people that you have working there. And like we've talked about before, that one's great. It'll automatically send out appointment reminders. You can have online booking. You don't have to have online booking. You've always got the online diary. You can take deposits. You can send out consultation forms. You can send out, newsletters, whatever. So save money with booking systems.
Okay, so you spoke about online bookings. Do you think you should have things like websites and stuff, or...?
I don't think it's that necessary, to be honest with you. I don't feel like we gained that much from having a website.
So you think it's probably best just to have like a link in your bio for Instagram or Facebook?
Especially if you're an individual, having a website is completely pointless. Imagine that Instagram is your website. Use your social media as your website, especially Instagram. Instagram, like we talked about before, you've got all those highlights where you can have all those informational sections.
Excellent. So say, for instance, a customer doesn't want to book online and they want to call up and book. Should you have a telephone line?
Great question. I think if you're an individual, there is absolutely no point in having a static phone line. Total waste of money.
Yeah. So your static phone line is normally like, it's been a long time since we've had one, but it's usually £13-14 a month for your basic. And then if you want to add on any minutes or calls or anything like that.
Obviously, you're going to have your internet. You're going to need internet. But you don't need the phone line on top of that. It's just going to cause you a headache. You're better off having anything routed to your mobile phone. Now, that doesn't mean routed to your personal number. You don't need to put your personal number up there, because you know what clients are like. You'll be by the pool. They'll be messaging you saying, "Hi, I know you're on holiday, but could you just pop me in for when you're back?" And it's just like, oh. What you can do is you can get an eSIM. What, about £5 a month?
Yeah, normally £5 a month.
£5 a month for an eSIM, which you can run alongside just on your phone. And that's probably going to be the best option, to just have that separation between personal and business.
Or if for instance, you've got a smallish salon, a team of a couple, you could have, like, what we have here is we just have an older mobile phone where we just have what we call the work phone, or the shop phone, and it's just left here. Whoever's last out puts it on charge at the end of the night.
I mean, of course, you don't need to have a phone line these days. There is absolutely no need. But we always say, have as many options to book in as possible, the same way you want to have as many options to pay as possible. Just make yourself as available as you can.
So that leads on to the next one. Card payments.
You need a card machine. I don't care what type of card machine it is, but you must have one. Again, don't limit yourself to what you're accepting in terms of payment methods. But the fees for card machines vary widely. And so we've got new Rebecca, who's taken over from me on my brows, and she's like, "Oh, I don't like using the card machine because it charges you." What is free these days? Because putting cash into the bank is no longer free either when you have a business bank account, which we'll come on to in a minute. So whether or not you are taking cash, whether or not you are taking card payments, you are paying a percentage fee. The only time you're not paying a percentage fee is if it's a bank transfer.
Correct.
But bank transfer is an absolute blinking headache to deal with anyway.
You've got to go find it. You've got to make sure they've done it. You've got to make sure that you give them the correct details.
So there's administration involved in that. Yeah. And your money is time. So surely it's easier just to use one of these really simple streamline methods rather than... This is the thing. People... And Chris is really, really terribly guilty of this, which I'm trying to get him out of it. Forgetting that money is time. And that sometimes, yes, you can do something that's not going to cost you any money, physical money, but it's going to cost you some time. And was your time not better spent doing something else?
Your time is better off trying to make more money rather than trying to save money.
Yeah. So
in some cases,
spending that whatever percentage fee it is on a card machine transaction is probably much easier than chasing somebody up for a payment that they've not put into your bank account. Can I just say one thing before we carry on? Do not let someone walk out of your premises without having paid for a treatment. I don't care of the circumstances. It's not happening. It should never happen. If for some crazy reason somebody has to, they've left their purse in their car and their phone's died, they can't pay Apple Pay, make them leave their car keys.
Yeah. Well,
make them leave
the car keys with the car.
Oh, that's true.
Leave the phone.
Leave the phone. Leave some sort of collateral.
Yeah.
Because you cannot trust people.
And blame somebody else. Always blame somebody else. Just say, if I don't do that, my boss is going to kill me.
Absolutely always blame somebody else.
Yeah.
Blame a protocol, blame an insurance, blame a boss, blame somebody else. Blame a past experience. Say, I'm really sorry to have to ask this. I don't think you ever would, but we recently had a bad experience. Can I ask you to leave something? We've done it a million times in our salon. And the thing is, you're thinking, oh, but they've come to me a million times before, they wouldn't do that. Maybe they wouldn't intentionally do it, but you might spend a lot of time chasing them up for money. But then you would also get people, maybe it's their first time, they'll walk out without paying and they will not bat an eyelid.
Yep.
So do not. I can never understand when I see people saying, oh, they haven't paid. Well, why the heck have you given them a treatment? Is there anything that you get up front for free and you pay for afterwards?
Yeah. Wild.
You pay once you've left and experienced it for a while. Because the thing is, if they've left your salon and they've not paid and you've only just realised, oh my God, a week's gone by and the nails are already starting to grow out, a millimetre or whatever, well, they don't feel like they've got a new service. So they're going to be even less inclined to pay. Okay. So yes, card machines, try and find one that works best for you. We touched on this a little bit last week in terms of, again, it's kind of like the whole booking system thing. You've got ones that you just pay you don't pay a monthly thing for, you pay to get yourself set up, like one of these sum up ones. I think you just buy the unit, but then you pay your fees. Then you get ones where you don't pay for a unit, but you have a monthly standing charge. The percentages might be slightly smaller on those ones than the ones that you buy up front, but just have a look at the percentages.
And one thing I would take into consideration is when you're starting, start small and work your way up. But always be fluid. Don't ever be stuck with one card machine. When you're starting out, you're not going to be that busy compared to like a year later where you are going to be busy. Yeah. So I would always revisit these things. Because
that's the thing. Some card machines, you'll pay a standing fee per payment plus a percentage. So it might be 20p per transaction plus 2% or 1% on top of that. Yeah. So just try and do the maths and see what's going to work for you now. And like Chris has said, what works for you now might not work for you in a year's time. So always be revisiting these type of things.
So you touched on business bank accounts. Should you have a business bank account? If you're brand new, you've got a brand new salon, or you are a single nail tech and you're renting a space?
I would say yes, for several reasons. Number one, like we just touched on, if you do accept bank transfers, maybe it's just the deposits or whatever it is, great to have that separation. It's great to be able to keep your business expenses and your personal expenses completely separate. I talk from experience, and we get things in a right time. We've had things in a right tangle mess, haven't we, previously? So try and keeping those things separate is absolutely a great idea. But you don't need all singing, all dancing, giving you X, Y, and Z. I mean, what's a Monzo account, like a £5 a month, something?
We've just changed over to Monzo. It's only a £5 a month. They're actually putting the price up to like 12 quid. But even at that, that's fine.
And it's great.
We used to have a Barclays business account. Jesus.
We had Lloyd's to begin with. And do you remember we went for the meeting with Lloyd's and everything like that? This was way back when. Oh my God.
Yeah. Again, we've been around the block. This is why we're doing these types of podcasts. So you don't have to.
It was actually our bookkeeper who said about Monzo, because before Monzo we had Tide, and there was certain things with Tide. Integration wasn't great.
Accountancy software.
And she was like, why don't you try that? So we did. And actually, I really like it. I mean, I didn't get to use Tide all that much before previously, but
didn't give it access, guys.
Monzo seems great, and what I really like about the Monzo account is the tax pot as well, which we'll come on to in a little bit. But that's something I like. You don't like it so much, but I like it.
One thing about the Monzo account, before we had Tide and Rebecca couldn't get access to it, it was only on one app on one phone. But with Monzo, you can have multiple people access the same account. So for instance, if you're in a salon and you want to give people access to it to be able to...
I mean, I guess you could have one central bank account, but no, I don't think you'd do that.
No?
Nah.
Okay. What if you're in a partnership?
I mean, well, in that case, then yeah.
Yeah, so that's just my recommendation. If you want people to see your finances. I don't. But for some reason, they give it to Rebecca. So yeah, business bank accounts. I would go with the cheapest possible route as you can.
Absolutely.
Excellent. So we touched on software integration there. Mm-hmm. Do you need an accountant?
No, no, you do not. So many. It has always like irked me. We didn't have an accountant for such a long period of time.
Well, do you want to tell them the trauma to begin with?
Okay, so we had a really bad experience with accountants, which is why
Rebecca did accountancy at university.
Yes,
so when we started our first business, Piranapedi, and it was going wild and the money was flying through the doors.
It felt like it was flying through the doors.
Rebecca was like, oh my God, we need an accountant.
So we tell them how much we were turning over at that point. Yep. So with our very first business, which was the fish pedicures, we had no staff. It was just Chris and we were renting space from a salon. It was a big salon. They weren't using our space, so we rented a little corner. They charged us what is in hindsight a ridiculously high rent of £250 a week.
But it was like prime location.
It was prime location. That was all included. But it was also like what 2009, 2010,
2011.
2011, right? So really ridiculous for them when I look back. But it all seemed really simple. So no staff. That was the only fixed cost. We had to buy the tanks. The fish were really expensive at the time. But anyway, we were turning over £15,000 a month, weren't we?
That was ridiculous.
And we were like, what? And when we went to this account, we were like, we need an accountant. And then we went to this accountancy firm, a respectable partnership, and they didn't believe us when we said how much we were turning over. They were like, that's just not possible. We were like, we are. And then we showed them and they're like, oh my God. Anyway, long story short, they were charging us £360 per month to do all of our accounts, which is absolute extortion.
Now, bear in mind, if you are a big salon and you're turning over 15 grand a month, I can start to see why, because you have lots of operating costs. But bear in mind, it was just Rebecca and I.
Even then, but then we never had an accountant after we got rid of them because long story short, so we charged us £360 a month. We didn't have any staff at the time, but then we did get staff. So included in that was payroll, absolutely everything. So what's £360 a month times 12? My God, I don't know, it's around five grand.
5-2.
Right? The accountant that we have, the accountant firm, a really good firm we have now, don't charge us much more than that.
Now, bear in mind the size of the business.
Size of the business, yeah. So nail order is much, much, much bigger than that was. But we do our own payroll now, which we've always done because it's easy and it is cheap. And I don't know why you wouldn't do your own payroll. So as a individual...
Small salon?
Do you need... No. And that's another thing. If you just have a business account and then a business credit card and everything business is coming just in and out of those two things... With the software that you can get, the accountancy software, you can just integrate the whole lot and it can just all speak to each other and essentially do everything for you.
Yeah, you don't need to, don't overcomplicate it. Don't get it twisted.
And even if you have staff, even if you do have an accountant, but you have staff, take away payroll from them because they are going to charge you a lot more to do it per month than the monthly fee. So I think most packages are about £10 or £9 a month for your payroll, right?
Yeah.
Accountant charges you way more than that, and it is so easy. Everything talks directly to HMRC, no matter what system, whether you're using Xero, QuickBooks, Sage, it all sends it all off to HMRC for you.
And one thing you have to take into consideration with an accountant, they want all that information. They want to know how many people you have, what their staff is, how many hours they've worked.
So bear in mind, for me to do the payroll, what I need to do is I need to sit and add up the rota, right? Everybody's hours. I need to enter the hours. I need to enter any holiday hours, and I press next. And then I need to make the payments.
But if you had to
if I had for an accountant, I still need to do the rota part and send them that. So the only difference is that I wouldn't be entering 125 into a box.
Yeah.
It's an absolute no-brainer. And honestly, it's so simple.
And if you're stuck, YouTube is your best friend.
Yeah, but honestly, it's really, really simple. QuickBooks particularly, that's who we have now. They walk us... if we ever have a problem with anything or a question, there's live chats and they walk you through anything. So whenever somebody's like, oh yeah, I'll get the accountant to make they do the payroll. And then, in fact, somebody recently told me about a mistake that the accountant made with their payroll. And the staff got overpaid. All of the staff got overpaid, and then they had to try and claim the money back, and it was a whole entire thing. So, yeah.
It's nuts.
I'm not saying that I couldn't make that mistake. I could, but I would be less inclined to do so.
It's also your own fault. You take responsibility for it. But the thing is, the accountant, are they going to be backtracking and trying to get that money.
Especially with holidays and stuff. And if the accountant's like a complete third party, they're not aware that Tammy went on holiday for 2 weeks during the month, but you remember that.
Yeah.
You know, so especially like if you're a smaller business, you've got one staff member, 2, 3, 4, 5. I mean, we've got on our payroll, I think there's 19 people. This is the first month I am handing it over to the bookkeeper to do.
Oh, so we have a bookkeeper now. How fancy are you?
She's employed by the business, though. It's kind of different. But yes, she will be doing it from now on. But we'll be doing it in tandem.
The thing is, it's kind of got out of control. Like,
It has
being
got
able
out
to
of
do a
control.
payroll,
Yeah.
it would take Rebecca hours now.
It does take hours, and my time is better spent doing something else. So.
Yeah. So we've discussed accountancy. We've discussed payroll. Next thing, taxes and VAT. Should you pay your taxes?
Yeah, you have to pay your taxes, guys. What I will say about taxes is that, okay, well, number one, let's talk about VAT. So VAT is value-added tax. Everything that you purchase here in the UK, we're talking about UK-specific taxes. We can't talk about any other taxes because we don't know about them. But in fact, well, every country that you're in, just about, you will pay a sales tax when you buy an item. Yeah. Here in the UK, VAT, as a consumer, is usually bundled into the price.
It's value added
please
tax.
Understand that every single item that you buy in the UK has tax on it, whether or not it is, well, not every, okay, most items,
with the exception
children's clothing doesn't, etc., etc.
Yeah.
Sanitary product, there's a few exceptions, but in general, the rule of thumb is that everything that you are buying already has the tax bundled into it. The exception comes in terms of how you see your tax when you are trade. That doesn't matter whether you are in the beauty trade, the hair trade, you are a tradesman, you're
a tradesperson.
tradesperson, you're a plumber, a joiner, a builder, any of these things. You will usually see the VAT separately. So the price you will say will usually be EXC, excluding VAT.
And why is that?
Because it's set up for businesses that are
VAT registered.
So I've not actually looked at the figures recently, but it's circa £85,000.
It is.
So is it still 85 grand?
Yep, 85.
God, it's been 85 for
I know.
7 years, maybe more.
Think about inflation, 9% a year.
Yeah, but look at what they do with the tax codes. They don't increase them
Yeah.
either. It's all very clever. People think that they're earning more money because they're getting a higher hourly wage, but what nobody's realising is that they haven't increased your tax-free allowance for years. Same with VAT.
Wow, I can see somebody getting into politics.
Anyway, so yeah, any business, when you first register your business, you have an £85,000 tax-free allowance per year to claim, essentially. So if you are turning over less than 85 grand, you do not need to register for VAT. As soon as you go 1 penny over that, you need to register for VAT. And you don't get that allowance every year. That's just a one-off. Again, every single person in finance will tell you that it is, and business will tell you that it's the stupidest thing that the government has ever done, because it would inspire so much more honesty if every business, or every business to a certain size, small businesses, had that 85 grand a year allowance.
Like your personal tax allowance, you have 12,500.
Because if you are a nail technician who is turning over £86,000 a year, why would you be honest and register for VAT? Okay, on that first year, that's fine. You've had your 85 grand. You've only got to pay the VAT on the £1,000 over that. But then the next year, you've got to pay the 20% VAT on the entire amount. And the year after and the year after. So if somebody's skirting around the VAT threshold, it just inspires dishonesty. Whereas if every business had that 85 grand, they would go, okay, well, fine, fair enough. I'm still getting my 85 grand. I'm turning over 86, so I'm only paying that 20% on that one item. So as a business who is VAT registered, you can claim back the VAT on everything you buy. So
this is why you see it separately.
That's why you see it separately. So let's take us an nail order. Imagine we have bought
gel polish.
Imagine we bought gel polish and we have been charged an amount for it plus VAT.
So it's £13 plus your VAT.
I was thinking about us in terms of the business, in terms of buying.
Oh,
so the price that we pay as the business is the price that is excluding VAT. Because yes, on the day we pay the price that includes VAT, but on our tax return at the end of the quarter, we claim back / deduct that VAT from the VAT that we need to pay out.
Packing peanuts. Let's go with that one. It's a good one. A big bag of packing peanuts is about £15 plus VAT.
Yeah.
So that's £3 in VAT that we shepherd, that we pay out to that company.
So yeah. As our business is paying £15, but we have to pay the £3 extra VAT on top. right? So that's £18 that we've paid on the day. But at the end of the quarter, that extra £3 is coming off of our tax bill.
Yep.
So the problem with businesses which are service related specifically, so, you know, like a hair salon, beauty salon, nail technician, your costs, especially if you employ people, are predominantly wages. Your costs are not products. You're not spending that much on products. You know, 20% or 30%, 40% of the cost of doing a treatment is not in products. It's kind of in terms of everything else that goes along with it. And that is a problem with the service businesses. So you can actually register for something called flat rate VAT. I don't know what the amount is right now. It was previously 12% on our industry. So when I'm saying our industry, I'm talking about hair and beauty salons. So it was 12%. So instead of paying 20%, you would pay 12%. However, you couldn't claim back the 20% VAT that you've paid out on your expenses. You wouldn't.
Kind of like a halfway house.
Yeah. But the thing is that what you pay out never equals what comes in. There's always a massive, massive difference. So at the end of every quarter, for instance, we will always have a humongous VAT bill. And essentially, so all of that money that we're collecting in taxes, people message us all the time about taxes. Why am I paying tax? Don't ask us, ask the government.
Tax?
Yeah, why am I being charged tax? Ask the government. It's not us that's doing it. That money that we are collecting, we just collect it. So we collect it here. And at the end of the quarter, we just move it over here. Yeah, and it goes out.
We are shepherds.
That is literally all it is. It's not our money. We actually keep it in a completely separate. We keep essentially
keep it in a tax pot.
Yeah, we keep it in a tax pot because it hurts so much less when it comes out. Yeah, because it's already aside. So yeah, that's something that you need to think about. Registering for VAT. Never register for VAT on your first day of business, especially as a nail technician.
Yeah, don't do it until you're forced into it.
Until you're forced into it. Till you absolutely have to. Do not do it.
I would even implore you, if you are a very straight down the line and honest person and you come to the end of your tax year, say for instance your tax year runs till April 5th and it's March 14th
and you're
at 84,000.
Oh, stop trading.
I would just call my clients, explain the situation and say I cannot take you.
Stop trading.
Because the following year you're paying
20%. And essentially what should happen in that circumstance, so you're that nail technician that turns over 86 and then that next year you've got to pay the VAT. So you're then meant to up your prices by 20% because what you're now meant to do, what is technically the way it should work, is that you have your prices. Let's say you're charging £30, just an easy number for me to do maths on, £30 for a gel polish. You're now meant to add 20% on that because you are now a shepherd of tax for the government. That is, you have a new role, which is as a tax collector, and you're meant to charge taxes on that so that you can collect it and just give it to the government. So now your £30 nails are £36. The client it's not that they don't understand, it's just that they're like, well, it's not my problem. Why am I having to pay an extra 20%? Do you know what I mean? So I think you're 100% right. If you're a month out and you're like, oh my gosh, I'm going to go over, stop trading.
Yeah.
It sounds crazy, but if you're that close, if you're going way over, then there's a whole different conversation. But if you're just skirting around that number, absolutely.
The one thing Rebecca said there, and I did say straight down the line, and a lot of people are not dishonest. A lot of people will maybe trade up to like 90, 95 grand and just never mention it, you know?
That's a dangerous game to be playing.
It is, but if the government did it the way Rebecca said and gave everyone that 85,000 limit,
yep.
It would benefit me as a nail tech who I did 95 last year. I'm going to push for 100 this year.
It would benefit the government no end because the government would collect more taxes because people would be honest. Somebody who's turning over 90 grand, so they say they're 5 grand over. I mean, that's a chunk over. They're playing a dangerous game. But if the government had given everybody that 85 grand every year, they'd only be paying the 20% on the 5,000 over, which people would go, okay, I'll do that. It's better that than risking,
fines, jail.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Absolutely.
All right. It's enough scaring people with taxes. Okay, Robin Hood.
Jesus.
Rich from the poor, steal from the rich and give to the poor. One thing we did touch on there was a tax pot. We discussed it with Monzo. They have that functionality.
Yeah. So what that is with the tax pot is you can set it up however you want it to. You don't have to have one set up, but you can. And essentially, a percentage of every penny that hits your account goes and sits in this tax pot. Now, that money is yours to do with whatever you want, whenever you want. You could call it something completely else than a tax pot if you wanted to.
So in Monzo, it's automatic. It sets up, say 20% is what we hit.
That's what most people set it up as, I think. That's not what I've got that one set up as, because we've kind of got two on the go. But you can have it set up as whatever you want it to be.
Another way to do it is, if your business bank doesn't have that, or your bank account doesn't have that, is you can set up a savings account.
Yeah, you could set up a savings account.
And
you can probably do like a standing order or a percentage. It just hurts so much less. You've still got to pay the exact same tax, but it's sat there. Like I said with the tax pot on Monzo, that money is always sitting there. You can access it absolutely whenever you like. Essentially, it's just a second account that is set up. It has automatic money going into it, and you're not looking at that every day when money's coming in. And yeah, it just hurts a lot less.
While we're there, let's talk about holidays and holiday allowance.
Mm-hmm.
So one thing we discussed in the last pod is something to think about is if you're taking any time off.
Mm-hmm.
I put up a nice little spreadsheet. You just need to put in the figures. I'll link it in the show notes on this one in the YouTube description as well. You just put in the numbers that you want to work. So say for instance, you're working a full entire year and you want a month off per year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so like Chris said, he set it up so you just put in your numbers. I would say if you have an account like Monzo that has the tax pot capability, set up a second one.
Yeah, as a holiday
Set
account.
up a second one. It's your holiday pot. You're maybe putting, I don't know, 2%. I don't know, a lot less.
So can you do percentage, or you can do set amount per week?
I'm not sure if you can do set amount, but I've just got it set up for percentage. I've not looked too deeply into it, but you could probably do whatever you want.
Yeah, because I've not got to set up as percentages on that spreadsheet. I guess I probably could. But for instance, if you want to take, say, 4 weeks off and you know you need £500 per week,
you've got to find £2,000 to cover your expenses, because as a self-employed person, you aren't getting holiday pay.
Yeah, so you might want to put, say, just as a minimum, say like £50 per week from your income into that, so that you know when you go on holiday, you've still got that there and you withdraw from that.
Yeah, I would say 50 quid a week is probably a pretty
great number.
But again, it depends on how much time you want to take off over the year.
Yeah.
But I think it's a really, really, really good idea for somebody who's self-employed, especially if you're not great with money, you like spending a lot. It just slips out. You don't even notice it, and then it's there when you need it.
One great thing is if you take deposits on like a booking system and you take them through PayPal.
Use that.
That's a great one, because you never see it.
Yep.
You know, you take the deposit, it goes straight into PayPal, or it's done online, it goes straight into PayPal.
Yep. We've utilised PayPal as a type of tax pot for quite some time, and exactly like Chris says, essentially we don't look at it, we don't withdraw it except when it's the time. But yeah, that's another great option to do, especially when it's deposits and stuff. That's probably going to be enough to pay. If you're taking deposits through PayPal, you have an integrated system like Avata, you could integrate to PayPal and take deposits that way. What's going to be left for a year is probably going to be enough to pay for your holidays. So,
excellent. Yep. Good one. All right. So we did touch on it, where it's a service-based industry that we are in. The majority of the money that's coming in, or the majority of the money that is used from a treatment is to go out to staff time. Mm-hmm. But products are involved.
Products are involved. Yep.
What's one way we can save money on products?
The thing is with products is there's only certain products you can really save money on. Like the brand of gel that you're using, the price is the price. You know, it's not like a box of gloves where there's going to be a huge, marketplace for it and you can go and search all different places. The price is the price. So in that case, like we talked about in the Black Friday podcast, you want to be utilizing sales, maximizing sale time to buy products from those brands. Those products you can't really save money on. The next type of product we've got is essentials, things that are unbranded, things that make you no money, but things you absolutely need for your job. And I would say we've got a couple of levels of that, because you've got nail files, which they don't make you any money, but you need them to do your job, but you do need them to be a good quality. So it's not just a case of just buying them anywhere like it would be for, say, couch roll. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, couch roll, it won't make a difference. It's all going to rip the same way.
Yeah, exactly. Or your foil wraps, things like that. Nail files, you're kind of in an in-between. So again, you want to find good quality ones and you want to buy in bulk. Thing with nail files is it's always going to be about bulk buying. Our nail files are fantastic price at nail order, and I would always recommend buying 50. I had a customer in the shop, I think it was on Monday, and she came with 2 packets of nail files. I was like, do you not just want 50 because they're going to be so much cheaper? And she's like, oh, yeah, sure. She just didn't see the 50 packs and... Yeah,
I mean, that's the thing. It's, we give you can buy single ones if you want to try them, but please don't buy just a couple. At least buy a 10 pack. But 50 packs.
We hate it when people buy single files. Yeah. Absolutely. I hate it to the point I'd rather not have them on the website.
We need to take them off.
I hate it.
Other nail files, what's other essentials, but good quality essentials you need? One thing you said there is unbranded stuff. There are some brands that have branded essentials. Like we have kind of branded essentials. Now, we don't charge through the nose for it, but some other people do.
And I think that's why our essentials on Ellison's have been so popular. We just sent out a large number of essentials to Ellison's. We only put them on the Ellison's website the last order, and then they just placed another one for loads because they're really cheap compared to a lot of the other brands on there. We don't believe in charging exorbitant prices for essentials. They're something you need to use all the time, and if they are good quality and they're a good price, you're going to come back time and time again. So why charge through the nose for that? So do your shopping when it comes to your lint-free wipes, when it comes to your foil removal wraps, anything which is disposable.
Yeah. Stuff like going straight in the bin straight after treatment.
Acetone as well.
Acetone
is hard to get. Acetone at a good price. Always buy the big gallon because you're going to use it. If you are a nail technician, you will use it. It might take you a while, but you will use it. So
also, the way I look at it is, if for instance, let's talk nail files and acetone. Why buy a 10-pack and a 1 litre acetone when you can buy a 50-pack and a 5 litre, and that means like for the next 5 times that you're going to have to order it, you don't have to order it. Yeah. It's time. It's going back to saving time.
It's time. It's shipping.
Yeah.
Yeah. Every time you order, you're using your time. It's shipping. Are you paying shipping costs? Because you shouldn't be.
Or if it's free shipping, why are you wrecking the planet with your carbon?
Exactly. So yes, gloves. You need gloves as a nail technician. People are astonished by the price of our gloves.
Yes.
So the new Rebecca, actually, I was telling her about gloves because her sister is a hairdresser, and she was telling me how many gloves they go through. I was like, oh, you should buy gloves from us. I told them how much they were, and she could not believe it. She was like, we buy them from Amazon for like £8 a box. I was like, are you mental? So because ours are depends. If you buy one individual box, it's £4. But if you buy a case of 10, again, you're going to use them. They cost you £3.20 a box of 100.
Wild.
So good. So good.
Why do we not just put the price up?
I know.
that could be our little pension pot. Just put the price up.
Because we're hardly making any money, but we feel bad charging people
for the essentials.
Yeah.
I'll be honest with you. When it comes to essentials, for us, it's like these things you will just add into your basket because you know they're good quality. Yeah. So it's beneficial for us. We're not going to make loads of money out of them. We would rather just save you guys money rather than, I hate to say it, this Amazon thing. Everyone just going to Amazon for everything.
Oh my God, I know, because it's...
Convenience, yes.
Yeah, but it shows that you're not organised.
Yeah.
And don't get me wrong, I'm an Amazon addict myself right now. Addict. But not when it comes to essentials. No way, Jose. No way, Jose. Hey, you know what else you can do? Buffers. Just cut them up.
Oh yeah. In fact, yeah.
We've got our mini buffers, which is a pack of 50 for £7.
Right about that, yeah. So
they're tiny. They're 180, 240, two different grits on each side. Perfect. Use one, throw it in the bin. But if you're using big buffers, even if it's our boomerang ones, you can cut them in half.
Yeah. Also, It's like when you're using what's that hot wax stuff, you can double dip, that's fine.
Oh, yeah. Use the same orange stick on all your customers, no matter where you're waxing.
Yeah.
No, do not do that, guys. So, yeah, it's about being really clever about where you're buying from, when you're buying, and how much you're buying.
Now, I remember when you first started doing microblading, you used to get a set, it was a special like cling wrap type thing from one of your suppliers.
God, yes, I did.
And I remember saying to you why don't you just get like the cling wrap from Tesco, because that's what they use at the tattoo studio. And you were like, oh, of course it is. And then we were thinking, well, why are we buying it from Tesco when we go to the Costco or the cash and carry?
400 metres. Rebecca was like, where do you get this from? I was like, Costco is 400 metres and it'll last you ages.
And that's why it's just cling wrap that you put around the bed. Mm-hmm. You've got to think of these things. You know, don't just look at it because you're buying it from a specific brand. Like even nail order, don't just buy our lint-free wipes because they're pink. You should, because they're pink.
And they are a good price.
They are a good price. But for instance, if you've seen, I don't know, just white ones that are half the price, go get the bloody white ones.
Yeah. But our gloves, you'll be hard pressed to find them cheaper.
Hard pressed, and you're heartbroken when you're spending that money on Amazon. Amazon, let's touch on that real quick. We recently have changed over to an Amazon business account.
Oh, for our business?
For our business. Uh-huh. Slightly cheaper than regular Amazon.
I don't think it is. I think it's exactly the same.
On certain things. But it does show you the VAT and all the rest of it.
Yeah.
But I think on certain things, I was looking at it, slightly cheaper.
Do you think? Hey, you know what else you can do? Go on. You can get Amazon, buy your phone on your business. Get 5% off, I think, with Amazon. With Amazon, Apple.
Apple business. Yeah, so
Apple
you just
business,
you
I'm
segued
sure it's
into
a
that.
5% discount if you're buying it on business.
It is.
So you'll need to make sure that when you're getting it shipped to your business name.
One thing we really want to touch on, right, we may as well do that. We've got 5 minutes left of the pod. If you're buying anything on business, if you buy it brand new, you can claim the VAT back on it.
Yes.
If you buy it second hand, there's no such thing.
No such thing, correct.
I got this MacBook you're looking at here. This is something just put into consideration. This is a very, very good MacBook. If I was to buy this from Apple, it would cost well over $2,000. But I didn't. I got it refurbished. I couldn't claim the VAT back on that. But the amount of money that I saved on it being refurbished negated that. So that's just things.
Sometimes you can buy second hand with VAT.
I think you can, but not.
If it's as long as it's showing VAT added.
Yeah.
As long as it's showing that, then yeah, you can.
And you can claim all those things back.
Yes.
So that's just something to consider.
If you're VAT registered.
If you're VAT registered.
If you're VAT registered. But if you're not VAT registered, you can still claim the cost back on your business.
What are some things that people might think they can claim back but can't?
That's a great question, Chris.
Pizza at 3 on a Friday. I've tried it. Rebecca won't let me
Do
do
you know,
it.
I've seen conflicting answers on food.
I would say, for instance, the Christmas night out, you're allowed to do up to, is it £300 per person?
No, £150 per person, but they can also that can also include a person they bring with them, so a family member or a spouse.
No spouses are welcome.
So if you are self-employed and you want to take yourself out for Christmas, you have £150 to do so.
Oh. Mm-hmm. And if you bring your partner?
Yes, that's £300 for two of you. That's a night away.
That's all right.
Night away and dinner.
That's pretty
Depending where you stay, obviously.
Is that just a one time per year or is that any time that you do it?
I think that might be I think that's a Christmas specific thing. I think. Events are a very question mark situation when it comes to taxes because entertaining is not a tax write-off. Did you know that?
I did.
I didn't know that.
There's no strippers. But things like charging your electric car or filling up your car if you use it for work purposes.
Again, we are not financial advisors or accountants, so take everything that we say with a pinch of salt. We are speaking from our own personal experiences.
Rebecca does ask me, like, did you really, have to put £20 of diesel in the van for coming to work? And I'm like, yeah, I absolutely did. But yeah, that is just, again, things to take into consideration. You can save money by having business expenses, but just don't kick the arse out of it. Pizza at 3 p.m. on a Friday is not included, apparently.
Did you know
Ice cream is.
that if you work from home, you can, I believe, again, this will probably have differing things, but no, I've looked on the HMRC website.
Definitely.
You can claim like a certain amount of your utilities.
Yep.
You can claim cleaning costs, like if you had a cleaner and stuff like that.
Yeah. Also, like your mobile phone, I know we discussed that, touched on it earlier on, having a separate phone. But if you do all your social media and everything else from your own device, you can use, say for instance, your mobile contract, your SIM-only contract is £10 a month.
Just go on a business...
Yeah, business SIM-only. Because if
contract.
you're uploading pictures to Instagram and stuff like that, you're using it for business. It is a business
It's important to note that when you are in receipt of certain benefits, in terms of tax benefits, so, maybe your mobile phone, maybe your car, maybe things like that, you may be subject to a benefit in kind tax.
Yeah.
So that might be something to
look into as well.
Just consider.
But these are probably for when you're established, you're a couple of years in, and you're making that money.
Yeah. There's a lot of things that we probably don't even.
We're probably missing out. This is why we got a bookkeeper recently and changed their accountant so that we can try and be more efficient with mail order because we'll just give you gloves for cheap. That's basically the way we do things.
Actually, just break even.
Yeah,
it's great.
The accountant actually said, "Look at these price of gloves. Jesus Christ, boys." Okay, honey. I feel like we have given lots of tips and advice. What is on the pod next week? In fact, wait. When this comes out, it's going to be Christmas week, isn't it?
It's going to be the 22nd that this will come
out.
out.
What are we doing Christmas week? Not that anybody gives a rat's
Nothing
ass.
good. We will be completing our stock take for the end of the year. Chris might be going and getting a new van, and we, for Christmas, are stuck at home. We'll be going over to my parents for a total of 2 hours because Dakota is in the crate and we can't leave the dogs for a long period of time, and my parents live best part of an hour away, so... we will be doing pretty much nothing, but I'm really excited about not having to get up and out of the house for a certain time because it's been a long time since I've had that freedom.
if I have to go get this van, I'm probably have to go and wake up at like 5 a.m. to leave the house at 6 so I can get to that place, get the van and then drive back
And I
home.
will be stuck in the house with the dogs. So that'd be excellent. But no, we are not doing much. And on the next pod is going to be an end of year roundup.
Roundup, end of year special. We're going to come in here drunk. No?
I'm definitely not, but you know.
No. That would be, in fact, that is for the pod after when what we're doing? What we're doing that weekend? What's going on that weekend? Where we all going?
Oh, the staff weekend away.
Staff weekend, not even a night away.
No,
we are
2 nights.
financing it all in the business. We are a staff weekend away at a beautiful shithole house.
It's a beautiful mansion house with 2 hot tubs and a steam room, 12 ensuite bedrooms.
Wow.
Excited. You guys will see pictures and content, I'm sure, on social media.
So the question is, should we do like a podcast from there
No.
with all the staff?
Absolutely not.
You don't think the staff
What a mess.
Do you think they'd be responsible and not swear on the pod? Okay, I give it 3 minutes. And they would be swearing on the pod.
There ain't going to be no pod from there. The only time there will be a pod from there is on the last night, because we have it for an extra night when technically nobody's going to be there.
Oh, is Lucy coming?
No, she's not.
Ah, you're a loser, Lucy. Not that you'd be listening to this because you're too rich. You're just kicking about your Porsche. Okay. Oh, I done the
What
wrong
was
song.
that?
I've done the wrong song.
Oh, what is this? Let's
This
listen.
is.
Hang on.
This.
Oh, I like it. What is this?
This is when there was mystery and intrigue. I got this off Epidemic Sounds.
Ooh.
Cheap. Anyway. All right, let's try this outro with the theme tune that I'm going to do properly. Honey, can you please... And I said honey, not the other one. Honey, can you get us out of here?
If you enjoyed it, be sure to give us a thumbs up. Leave a comment below. Let us know what you'd like us to talk about next. And be sure to subscribe to be notified when we release our next episode. Bye, guys. Oh,
I did
and have a
that.
lovely Christmas.
Do you know what? She did the outro really well, and I've messed it up, and I pressed the wrong bloody button. What's that about Christmas?
Have a lovely Christmas. Have a wonderful Christmas, guys.
Great
And New
Christmas.
Year and chill out. And,
Go on.
should I say?
What?
Well, what's happening Christmas Day, Boxing Day?
Oh, the Queen is going to make a speech.
No, there is no speech, but there is going to be a sale.
Tuning in, nail on Sunday, all the tea getting spilled. Nail text, talking game, keeping it real, y'all gon' feel. From designs to the drama, every secret they reveal. Stay sharp, stay tuned, man, you know it's the deal.